Een kerkhof in Zuidoost-Londen. 8 verse graven van 8 van de 13 jonge mensen die omkwamen bij een brand. Een brand ontstaan in de vroege zondagmorgen, na een feestje dat mevrouw Ruddock had georganiseerd omdat haar jongste dochter Yvonne 16 werd. Yvonne is dood. En haar oudste broer, Paul. 13 doden. 26 ernstige gewonden nog steeds in ziekenhuizen. Onmiddellijk na de brand verklaarde de politie dat de oorzaak was een naar binnen gegooide brandbom. Een versie die later werd afgezwakt. Er was geen bewijs. De zwarte bevolking van Zuidoost-Londen had geen bewijs nodig. Het was brandstichting. Het was massamoord.
It's both arson and murder. The police said it was a petrol bomb at the beginning of the fire, and they've changed their mind gradually, but I strongly believe it was murder.
Hier gebeurde het. New Cross in de wijk Deptford. Op het hoogtepunt van het feest waren over de 200 jongelui in de kleine woning. Toen om 5:10 de brand uitbrak, nog ruim 150. Het uitgebrande huis is een altaar geworden. Een monument voor 13 vermoorde kinderen. Op Shakespeare Road, weg van het gewoel, zamelt een vers gevormd comité geld in. Voor de nabestaanden, voor de verdediging van gearresteerde kleurlingen. Voor strijd tegen de politie. Het comité heet, bijna dreigend, het New Cross massamoordcomité.
We've always believed that what happened at New Cross on the 18th of January was a massacre. On anyone's interpretation of the events, as we see them, there's no other interpretation to it that it was a massacre, irrespective of who was the perpetrators. It seems to us that it was a deliberate act to set fire to that place by whatever means, and we look upon it as a massacre. That's why the committee is named the New Cross Massacre Action Committee.
You're not believing the police or the Sunday Times who had another story?
It's very hard for us as black people in this country to believe what the police say. Our experience of the police is one which makes us very wary of their activities and any statements which they come out and make. The press of this country, the mass media, have never been on the side of black people.
Mevrouw Phoenix, directrice maatschappelijk werk. Haar genuanceerde visie op de oorzaak van de brand is uitzondering. Haar algemene visie is gelijk aan alle anderen.
Unfortunately, I work in this society with 3 disadvantages. 1, that I'm black. 2nd, I'm a woman. And thirdly, I try to be a Christian. Given that combination, I refuse to assume what caused the fire. I wasn't there, I don't know.
Fair enough, but whatever happened at New Cross, there's a lot of commotion and emotion amongst the black population. Can you explain why suddenly that emotion went?
It isn't sudden at all. This has been happening for many, many years. In fact, I have said about 1977 that I felt as though I'm sitting on top of a volcano. When there is quiet, it's an unease. It isn't really quiet at all. It's just that things are not boiling over. And at this point, they're boiling over.
De vulkaan barstte uit, inderdaad. Een eruptie. Een massademonstratie van de kleurlingen tegen het beleid van de politie leidde in Fleet Street, zetel van de grote Britse pers, tot ernstig geweld tegen de kranten. Ruiten werden kapot gegooid. De politie arresteerde tientallen kleurlingen die nog steeds gevangen zitten. Dat waartegen een vrouw als Sybil Phoenix jaren had gewaarschuwd, werd harde werkelijkheid.
For about 3 decades now, black people have been treated really bad. They were accused of many things that they were not guilty of. And the fire and the tragedy of the 13 children brings about a stronger feelings among the black community. They've had enough, and they came out in their thousands to protest about the police brutality, and also how the government and the press and society had treated us so badly.
You know, people's reaction instantly was that they, you know, were horrified that such a thing could happen. But, you know, if people had bothered to check the situation, it was on the cards, really, that something like this could happen. You know, there had been attacks on other black, you know, premises and places where black people socialize. And it was just a matter of time, really, before it escalated to the extent of which this one did.
The black community experienced day-to-day rejection. We have seen what used to be verbal abuse now turn into physical assault. You can't go around enumerating the daily insults that people receive, but there isn't any doubt that in recent times, months, racialists have been more open in their rejection, their abuse, and their physical assaults upon black people. About a few weeks ago, one of my black church members, a district nurse, she is very quiet, inoffensive person, was walking along Peckham Street as she came abreast of 3 white boys, 3 louts. One of them spat in her face. Now, what do? Do you go to the police and make a report on something like this? So the kind of experience which black people have daily merely is crystallized in their reaction to this fire.
Deptford High Street, de hoofdstraat van Deptford. Alleen op zaterdag, als er markt is, leeft de straat nog. De rest van de week een troosteloze straat. In een wijk met een werkloosheid die 3 keer hoger is dan het gemiddelde. Over de 50%. En een uiteraard blanke politieagent. Veelzeggend. Hoe lang en hoe ver kan in een wijk als Deptford de spanning nog worden opgevoerd? De lokale krant, een weekblad, is vandaag uitgekomen met 4 extra pagina's. 4 verslaggevers werkten 4 weken aan een onderzoek naar de provocatieactiviteiten van National Front en British Movement. Wat de South East London Mercury ontdekte, was zwak gezegd in hoge mate verontrustend.
Well, with a team of other reporters, we've been looking at the British movement and other extreme right-wing groups operating in south-east London. We've discovered they're organised, we've discovered they're violent, and they're out in the streets again after a lull of a couple of years. Gangs have been rampaging on the street, young men, cropped hair, marching down the street, chanting Sieg Heil, carrying armed with clubs, iron bars. They've attacked black youths, black people, Asian people in an organised, premeditated manner. The leading group in the area is the British Movement. It's a new group. It openly preaches street violence against black people. It's extremely well organised, but it attracts a lot of disenchanted, fed-up kids in our area. We have the highest level of unemployment that we've had since the 1930s. In this borough alone, there's 9,000 people unemployed. They can easily get these school kids, school leavers, to find scapegoats, and they pick on the black people. There's definitely truth that these new Nazis are organised in our area. They publish in magazines like this teachers' names and home addresses, personalities' names and home addresses, and these people have been subjected to harassment recently. A top London police officer has been appointed to investigate these attacks. Bricks have been thrown through windows, live bullets have been sent through the post to people, razor blades have been hidden in letters. Teachers are a particular target in this area. They boast that they harass teachers.
Not only white people.
Not only black people, I mean.
No, white head teachers, white teachers. Teachers who take a stand against them preaching their race hatred in the schools. Other evidence that we've brought to light is that these youths, the British movement youths, have infiltrated what we call the Territorial Army, which is a part-time army for volunteers. There they learn unarmed combat skills and the use of weapons. They then pass the skills on to their colleagues and hold training exercises in local woods and similar places. Conclusions are that the problem is getting worse, that they are more organised than they were before, and they've dropped any effort to be respectable. They're openly preaching street violence. They believe that a war is going to come to our streets and they're going to be ready for it.
Of course it's getting worse. A society that produces the Martin Websters and, to name a few.
Leader of the National Front.
Yes. And Mr. Powell, who stated that the streets of London will be running with blood. The national press will be quick to remember what he said, but they will not be quick to remember that the civil phoenixes of this world have been pleading with this society to take their black community serious and to treat them as equal citizens.
That's not happening.
Well, what do you think?
I'm not living in this community, Mrs. Phoenix.
That is a get out.
Do you ever regret ever having come to England?
I regret every moment of it. Coming to England bring me nothing but grief and sorrow and heartache. How can one come to this country and give birth to 6 children and in the end watch them burned to death and in the end seeing them buried? How can one be happy? In my country there it would not have happened. We don't kill our people like this. This is animal. This is horrible. Black people came here to sweep the streets, and that's where they wanted to keep them. But the children are saying that we are not going to be like that. We are no slaves anymore.
Father, has a black man any future in this country?
Oh yes, the black man has to have a future in this country because God made us black people as we are to be as we are. And there is no way in which black people, in order to indulge and satisfy racists, will either commit mass suicide or will withdraw to overseas reservations to please anyone. Now, in this country, black and white will either live together as brothers or we will perish together as fools. But in any case, the important word is together, so that if the black man hasn't got a future in this country, then this country hasn't got a future. It is as simple as that.